I picked up a lot of different ways to set up snares and cable restraints over the years, and I'm going to show you a few methods that work for me. They might not work for you, but they are effective. Snares are really easy to use. They're cost effective. They work in all different types of weather, and they're really easy to carry. So we're going to get along here, and I'm going to show you a few basic setups and a little bit about snare and cable restraints. Thanks for stopping in, guys. Make sure you always double up your wire, guys. Wire is inexpensive, and you don't want to have a loss. So I've taken the amount of wire you're going to use for this set. All depends on how far your support is going to be from the trail with the actual tree. So right here I got about 4 feet, which is about average. I've twisted the wire in half, so I doubled the wire just like that. You're gonna take your snare, and also I like to put my tags on the end of the swivel. So you take your snare, swivel, you'll run it through just like this, okay? Then you push your snare up through the separated part, just like so. Pull it through. Just like that, and you've made yourself a box knot, okay? I myself like to use a tree no smaller than my wrist. So you take the doubled wire, you wrap it around the tree. So this is going to be both your support and your securing. Now, when you have it like that, it's not only tight to the tree, but you can move it as you want, just like that. We're in the center of the trail, got my support, set up a little bit of natural blocking. And just like that, you're ready to go. I'm sitting at about 8 to 10 inches, which is good for this spot. Now, you never know if the coyote is gonna go high or low. They're not always consistent. People will tell you need to go 14. People will tell you need to go lower. But in this particular area, if you are worried, you can take brush and set it so he ducks his head. Now, if you are set kind of high, you can use a chin lift of some kind. Break your stick off and set it in the middle of the trail just like that. And that's pretty easy for the set. Now, if you're worried about the trap actually being too shiny, just boil your snares in baking soda and it takes the shine away. This one's spray painted white for the snow, so it's hard to see. Plus, I wanted you guys to see the snare show up a little bit. Hope you guys found this set pretty effective. We're gonna move up north and we're gonna set some snare in a little bit deeper snow. One more thing I forgot to add. For me, in my experience, the more slack you have in the snare, the more chance the critter has to realize what's happening and back out. When it's tight and secured, you know, the trap closes quicker with the pressure of the support system and the weight of the actual animal, and gives it less time to react. So I like to keep mine sturdy with as little slack as possible. And you can also tie your snare off higher on a tree, which as it closes, what it does is the snare locks on the back of the neck to reach and chew on a snare, and it's less apt to chew out. So just had to add that in. Let's move on. Hey guys, hope everybody's doing good on the line today. I'm going to show you how I set up snares in the snow trails. I caught a coyote in here already, but I'm going to reset this now that the snow's down. So I foot tracked in with my feet. The coyotes like to follow that path. Remember, the least path of resistance for coyotes. They're lazy, they're smart, they're gonna do what they gotta do, especially the easier route. So I got a snare, I earth anchor it. In this case, I'm on the edge of the field, and I don't want the farmer to dig up a disposable stake. So it's actually wired to a tree, which is legal in our state as long as it's solid and it's the size of your wrist. So I got a breakaway right here and 9-gauge wire. I'm using this tree as my support. I S-hooked the wire like that, and I'm just gonna feed my snare through it. Kind of bend it the way you want it. So right now it's sitting at about 11 inches, 12, which is pretty good. We're gonna pull it out just a little bit more into the trail. I do it several different ways. This way I'm just S-hooking it. Just like that, and just like that. I usually, this right here is about 9 inches for me. So that lets me know that it's about 10 to 12 inches and 10 to 12 inches off the ground, which is pretty ideal. Some people say go 14, but we got a lot of deer, and I'm really trying to avoid that. Now, I'm gonna brush it up, make it look as natural as possible. We already got some natural blocking right here. And what I'm gonna do is, I back the lock off a little bit, that way it drops. It's not quite at 11 o'clock, but it'll work. These are real sensitive. Now right here it's open a little bit more, so I'm gonna take a branch off this dead tree, and just like that, kind of guide him in. And that's pretty much it. This is basic snaring. I mean, it's pretty easy. They run right into it. I have no problem at all catching this way. So that's my little tip, my little trick, and we'll move on. I like to wear, I got specific boots that I wear out here, specific clothes, and specific gloves. Your feet, you gotta be more cautious about than your hands. You gotta think that a snare, you're catching them on a route of, travel, a route of travel. So you're catching them off guard. Whereas you got to be more safe when you're setting traps such as footholds, because there's approaching the set. They're going to be weary, that scent's going to be heightened, and they're going to smell everything. With this, it's a little less technical. I've set them barehanded and caught coyotes before because they're just going along their way. It's not like they're approaching a set and they're already heightened scents and they smell you. You've been funneling around. So that's pretty much it. We're going to move on to the other set. Thanks, guys. Another thing I use in these sets is a chin lift. A chin lift is what you use to guide their head up so they walk through the hoop. So just something simple, like a stick like that. Doesn't have to be very big. I mean, actually we'll use something a little bit taller. Just like that. And that gets them to lift their head as they're walking through. All right, guys, moving on. So I got another breakaway snare here. I made a little trail with my feet. The coyotes are coming into the backfield, and it's got a 2.5-inch deer stopper on it when it closes up to 2.5 inches. This time we're going to use the whammy, whereas last time we just hung it on the S hook system that I made. So I got my 9-gauge wire, which is attached to the stick. Now you can take your 9-gauge and just stick it in the ground and use it that way for your support system. So we're just gonna push that little rubber piece, the whammy, onto the wire, adjust, just like that. And then I typically back the whammy or the lock away from the whammy somewhat. Bam, bam. We want to go a little bit lower. Just like that. And that's pretty much good. And then, I got little guide sticks, kinda. You don't have to worry too much. Some people ask me if I dye my snares. Yes, sometimes I do. I dip them. Sometimes I use them right out of the package, and sometimes I spray paint them. So if it's white out, you know, I'll spray paint them white, you know, brown, stuff like that. But they're hard to find that way. You really don't got to do much with snares. We're getting ready to get some rain tomorrow, so these snow trails that I'm setting on are actually trails when the snow isn't there, if that makes sense. So I already know the coyotes are using them during snow and when it's just rain. So, and then last thing to do is take a dead stick. I never use fresh sticks. I use dead sticks. They tend to smell them. And we're just going to use that as, you know, a chin lift. So just like that, boom, and you're pretty much done, and that's it. Moving right along. And if you look straight back, you can see the field that it empties out to, and yeah, we should get a coyote in that bad boy. So hang your snare, you know. With the breakaways, it's kind of hard to see the 11 o'clock. That's more at a 12, but it's still going to drop. It's got a nice loop to it. That's why I like the breakaways. I don't like the penny locks very well, but yeah. All right, moving on.